Hello, Canyon Bible Church of Prescott. This is the video that we told you about, a video where we walk through our plan for meeting at the football field at Prescott High School for the next 4 weeks on July 19th, 26th, August 2nd, and August 9th. I want to walk you through a number of the details so you know ahead of time kind of what to expect, and so we're going to do that in this video. First, this is going to be an hour-long service. We're going to shorten the service so that we're not outside as much. More about that in a moment. It's going to be from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. So 8 a.m. starting this Sunday, July 19th to 9 o'clock. There are hundreds of seats available in the shade. I mentioned we don't want to be out in the sun too long. Nobody needs to be in the sun during the service at all. We'll be sitting in the shade. We actually went to the high school and spent some time in the shade, just kind of testing this whole thing out, and it's rather enjoyable in the shade. You might think it's hot in the sun, it'll be less hot in the shade. No. It's hot in the sun, it's enjoyable in the shade. So just heads up, it's going to be an enjoyable time sitting there and being there for that hour. We'll be together, and we're excited about that. I want to remind you of the reason that we're doing this. I've mentioned this in a couple of videos beforehand. To us, being together is always better than being apart. There just haven't been ways to do that with different restrictions and because of the coronavirus. Now the school district is letting us meet outside, and so we're going to do that. Maybe the spread of coronavirus is less likely being outside. We think that's true, but also the school district's allowing us to be out there, and we can be together, which is better than online. So we're doing that. We're doing this being outside for that reason, to be together. But also, we wanted to bring about some consistency. Since the beginning of March, we've met at the high school, one service. We've met online for a number of weeks. Then we went back to the high school doing 2 services. Then we were told we'd have to leave the high school, and so we came back online for 2 weeks. Now we're going back. The back and forth is wearisome. It's not easy. And so what we plan to do is to say, for the next 4 weeks, even if the virus is bad, we can still be outside. Let's just bring some consistency. So we're going to do that for 4 weeks, and then we'll reevaluate after that. We hope that we go from outside to inside for good. That's our hope, but we'll revisit this 4 weeks from now. Now, let's talk about arriving at Prescott High School. For the first couple of weeks of this 4-week experiment outside, the lower parking lot actually is going to be out of commission. They're going to be working on it down below, so we'll have to all park in the upper parking lot. So another wrench into the plan, but I want to walk you through that. There are going to be a number of handicap spaces that we have available right near the entrance to the field area. So know that there will be handicap spaces available. So park in the upper parking lot. There will be handicap spaces available. Something else you need to know. If you have a hard time walking up and down steps or even up and down ramps, you can park and stay on the same level as where you parked all the way until you get to your seat at the football field. So if some of you are unsure about steps and things like that, you don't need to worry about that. You can park and stay on the same level all the way to your seat. We're going to be meeting once you kind of come into the parking lot, arrive, go through the large gate that leads to the football field. We're going to be meeting toward the right or the north side of the football field. Why? That's where the shade is. So you're going to be walking into the entrance of the football field area, and you're going to be heading over to your right, and that's where we'll be seated. That's where our service will take place. Now let's talk about some precautions we're taking to help mitigate the spread of the coronavirus. And I'll say at the beginning, remember that every time you wake up in the morning, you're at risk for something. We don't live in a sterile world. That world is Eden. That world will be the new heavens and the new earth. So we're always at some risk, which we've talked about before. But we're trying to make this as safe an environment as possible. So we are going to be socially distancing. We're going to be spreading some of the chairs out for people. We're also talking to some of the medical professionals in our church. We've got 2 elders that are medical professionals. We've also got got some other people in our church that are medical professionals. So we've been seeking a lot of counsel on this. And so let me talk about what we're going to do to help just kind of mitigate the spread. And before I do that, I want to turn to two of our elders, Byron Tabbitt, Dave Lutz, who again serve in the medical field, and they've got some words and some thoughts about face masks. And then after they talk, I'm going to come and kind of wrap this part up for us.
Well, we want to say hi to the folks of Canyon Bible Church of Prescott, and Byron and I want to talk a little bit about wearing these. So Byron and I both work in a healthcare setting. I work at the VA hospital as a physical therapist there, and we've gotten used to wearing masks for a couple months now. Whenever I'm on the ward, I need to wear one of these. Actually, anywhere on campus now, we're all having to wear these. These are thought to work by preventing or slowing the spread of droplets that come out of our mouths when we talk or laugh or sing, and contain the virus. So these will catch some of the droplets, but also they will slow down the momentum in the air currents of what we express in terms of droplets. So this takes care of what's called droplet precautions. Now we're used to droplet precautions for a long time. Things like the flu and pneumonia and other things are thought to spread through droplets, as is the COVID-19 virus. So more and more these are being shown to be pretty effective in conjunction with hand washing and distancing, those three things together. So the droplet precautions helped with the mask. We want to keep meeting as a church body. If we do that outside, that will help. But also if we wear these when we're close to people, it will really help a lot to keep each other safe so that we can keep on meeting, prevent an outbreak of the virus in our church body. So Byron, what's your experience using these in your workplace?
Well, these are all things that we love to hate. This represents a lot of change for many of us, I know. But we are really looking forward to gathering together in just over a week again. And as you mentioned, masks are not the only thing, social distancing and the hand washing that we're all well aware of. But we've linked together on this video a short little YouTube video that describes in a visual way what some of the benefits for this might be. And secondly, an article on how to love your neighbor and why I hate masks, but it's an argument from a biblical perspective on why this might be a good season for us to be recommending a mask. We look forward to that. We look forward to this as a way of expressing deference to one another as well, loving God and loving one another well through this season of uncertainty. We know this brings up a lot of questions and a lot of perhaps even division, but we want to be able to express to you our love to you and our hope that you would be compliant and happy with wearing a mask as we're gathered together on Sunday.
So Byron and Dave have talked a little bit about the medical side of face masks. Nothing keeps us completely safe, but the face masks do help mitigate the spread a little bit. But we also have the love your neighbor component. None of us, I don't think, would want to wear face masks. But there's a certain idea that if I can help in preventing this from spreading to others, I want to be a help. Now, with that being said, we are going to be outside. You're going to be at times outside and not around a large group of people. Some of you are not able to wear face masks for breathing, respiratory reasons. We understand that as well. So ours is a recommendation. Ours is a love your neighbor recommendation as you're able. You're big boys and you're big girls. We're not mandating anything, but we are just highlighting they do seem to help in certain environments, certain areas, but use common sense, love your neighbor. This isn't a big deal. Now let's talk about the things that you receive and the things that you give on a given Sunday morning. Normally when you come into church, you receive a worship guide. Those will be on tables in the back of the bleacher section that for when you first walk up, you can grab a worship guide off the table. Similar to what you were doing when we came back to the school and we had those laid out on a table for you. So worship guides can be obtained before you sit down, before you grab your seat on the back table. Prayer requests. We love to hear from you, the things that are on your mind, things that are on your heart that we can bring before the Lord. So I'd encourage you, as you have the worship guide, fill out a prayer request. And at the end of the service, there will be baskets in the back that you can drop those prayer requests inside of. You can also send your prayer requests in online, prayer@canyonprescott.org. Again, we know that some of you might not be able to come back to church yet, might not be able to come back to this outdoor gathering, so please send those prayer requests in online. So you can send them in by placing them in the basket at the back of the bleacher section, or you can send them in online. Also, we're going to continue our normal Lord's Table schedule. We do the Lord's Table, partake of the Lord's Table on the first and third Sundays of each month. This first Sunday that we meet, July 19th, is actually going to be the third Sunday of the month. So we're going to do the Lord's Table this Sunday. You can, similar to before, pick up your Lord's Table packet right there near where the worship guides are, and you'll keep that with you throughout the service. It's covered. And then at the end of the service, when we partake of the Lord's Table, you can kind of peel back the opening, and then we'll do that together. So that's not a change compared to what we were most recently doing inside of the theater. Also, giving. Giving will be again at the end of the service in the back of the bleacher section. So as you're walking out and you might put your prayer requests down, you can also put your giving in the baskets back there. Or, as many of you have done, you can send them in to the church office via mail or give online by going to canyonprescott.org/give. And again, thank you so much for your faithfulness to give. We've committed to using this money the Lord's given us in a number of different ways that are important, and so thank you for your continued faithfulness in giving. Seating at the football field at Prescott High School. There are, as I said earlier, hundreds of seats that are available in the shade. There's a large building that is behind the seating area, and that gives us a bunch of shade throughout the whole service. So just know that when you think about coming to an outdoor service, most of the time you're thinking, where's my shade going to be? Do I need to bring an umbrella? The shade is provided by the building that's there. So that's something for you to understand. Also, if you need handicap seating or you just need a chair with a back, then we've got that for you. There's going to be a row along the building that I mentioned that is at the top of the bleachers, where we're going to have about 35 to 40 seats for people who can't walk down any steps but need a chair with a back. We're going to have that for you there in the shade, ready for you. Additionally, the back row of the bleachers will have chairs that we set out as well. Now, the rest of the bleachers don't have seat backs. It's like going to a football game or going to a basketball game. So that last row of bleachers, additionally, we will have a row of chairs in. So those are chairs for people who might be able to walk down a step or two, but still need a seat back. So just know that. And for everybody else, if you're able to sit on the bleachers like you would at a football game, I'll remind you that our service time will be about less than half of a football game. If you're able to sit in those bleachers without a back, please do so. I'd encourage you to bring seat cushions. If some of you might have a seat cushion with a back on it, that would be great. Some of you might want to bring camping chairs to bring and put on the bleachers. You can certainly do that. The area, the length of the area that you can set a camping chair down on is 27 inches. Some extra large camping chairs are 28 inches. You do the math, that wouldn't work. Most camping chairs would work there on the bleachers. So cushions, camping chairs, whatever works, we're going to do that. In the bleachers, we're going to alternate every other row. So there's going to be a row to walk down, and then there's going to be a row to sit on. That'll kind of keep us socially distanced. Bathrooms are available on both sides of the bleachers. So on the north end of where we're going to be meeting and on the south end of where we're going to be meeting, there are bathrooms open. You don't need to walk down any steps to the bathrooms. They'll be on the main level where you come into the stadium area. Let's talk about children at these services. As usual, we love to have children in our services. Different families choose to do different things. A lot of children come into the service. That's wonderful. That can continue to happen here. There will not be children's ministry for these 4 weeks, but there are spaces where you can take children if they're getting a little squirmy. So children are encouraged to sit in the service like normal, but if they're getting a little squirmy, again, the service is just an hour, but if they are getting a little squirmy, there's actually a section at the top of the bleachers where there are picnic tables, a number of picnic tables where kids can go sit and color. A parent can go up there, and you can, in parts of that area, you can see me preaching or someone singing, but you can also hear in that entire section. You can hear the message, you can hear the singing. So if you need to bring your children out of the bleacher area, there's a place that you can go. You can still hear. They'll be in the shade. They can color. They can do something. So just know that is available. I've already talked to a number of families that are excited about doing this together with the family. It's a shortened service. There's shade. This is the way to kind of test it out and to bring your kids. Let's talk about this hour-long service. Our plan is to come, read scripture, open in prayer, do 2 songs. I will preach, And on some Sundays, we'll take the Lord's table. Other Sundays, we'll be done right then and there. Now let me give you some closing thoughts in preparation for this Sunday. Those of you that are still unable to attend, we understand that. We miss you. We're eager for you to be back. We're eager for all of us to be back in our normal setting. But know that we'll be posting the service video online Sunday afternoon, so be looking for that. Additionally, the sermon will be ready on iTunes or on our church website early in the following week, like normal. Now, I want to give you some closing thoughts. First, stay humble and stay unified. This isn't ideal. We're outside, there are bleachers, we're trying to figure out shade and sound. This isn't ideal. But we're a people that are used to taking up a cross. We're a people who are used to serving a Lord who calls us to hard things. So just remember, that this isn't some sort of concert, or this isn't some sort of first-class flight. The church never is. There are things to work at, but remember, the goal is for us to be together. So we've tried to kind of take care of all the problems that could come up, but just know that something will come up somehow, some way, but we're doing our best. The goal is to be together, to humbly kind of put aside differences and distractions and problems, and to come together to seek to serve one another, to love one another, and to worship the Lord together. I also want to say, like I said before, earlier on, we've been in a number of places on Sunday morning. At the school, online, at the school again, online, at the school again, outside. And with that comes challenges to staying consistent. Again, some of you that have not been able to come to church yet, you know this. Sometimes we're able to live stream the message, and sometimes we can't post it till later that afternoon. Sometimes things come up and you can't make it to church, and there are just disruptions. So we haven't had a normal 10 a.m. service for the last few months. So I want to encourage you. We're still going through the Gospel of Mark. I want to ask you to stay in Mark, stay connected. If you've missed Sunday services, listen to the previous week's message. A few weeks ago, a number of elders and our director of youth ministry and counseling, Josh Ariano, they each took a turn preaching for a couple of weeks. You should hear what they had to say. So what I'm saying is, in all of this kind of upheaval and chaos, stay connected to what your church is teaching. Stay tracking with where the Gospel of Mark is taking us. If you miss a Sunday, go back and listen. So I want to encourage you to stay in Mark. Stay listening, stay learning. Finally, stay worshipful. We've been thinking about this service outdoor for a while now. We've been planning, we've been thinking about chairs and shade and pulpits and speakers and kids and everything. It's really easy for those things to kind of take our focus, when really we think of Jesus commending Mary in the Gospel of Luke by saying she chose the good portion, she chose the right thing, sitting at the feet of Jesus. We're going to come outside with a beautiful view on Sunday morning. You can see Thumb Butte from the bleachers. We're going to come wondering about the shade and where to sit, seating. We're going to come thinking about so many things. But come in advance praying that the Lord would give you a heart of worship. We're going to be singing together. We're going to be praying together. We're going to be listening to the Word together. We're not going through the motions in those things. We want to bring our hearts to the Lord on this Sunday morning. The number one thing that's going to happen Sunday morning isn't that we sit outside or that we're bringing our camping chairs. The number one thing is that we're gathering together and worshiping the living Lord of the universe. So stay worshipful. That's our first priority this Sunday. I can't wait to worship with you. I can't wait to sing with you outside. Can't wait to preach the gospel with loudspeakers going outside, so maybe some other people would hear. This is a great time for us to be together. And yes, it's different, but we're going to be together. We're going to sing. We're going to listen to the Word. We're going to pray. We're going to do that together as we worship our Lord.